When you make a muscle, you want to make sure you can show off your hard-earned gains instead of looking like a knockoff Slender Man. Today I'm going to show you what exercises make the most impact on your biceps and how you can grow a set of bulging biceps. The biceps have two insertions, hence the name biceps. The shorter head goes from the coracoid process of the scapula, the shoulder blade, and the longer head starts from the supraglenoid tubercle of the scapula, from the top of the shoulder blade, and they both attach to the radius, which is the outer bone on the forearm. The biceps work together to do three things: flex the elbow, supinate the wrist, and they contribute a little bit to flexing the shoulder. Since the biceps' main function is to flex the elbow, that's the main thing we'll work on, since the active supination and active shoulder flexion involve the biceps a little bit. You can't lift much weight with these movements alone. Any shoulder flexion action from the biceps will work a little bit, but it can be difficult to overload and other muscles get involved to help, minimizing the overall contribution of the biceps. Now, since supination is an action from the biceps, our wrist position will determine which muscles we can directly target. With our palms up, we will bias the biceps. Palms down will bias the brachialis, which sits underneath the biceps, and legend has it that the brachialis pushes the biceps up, making them look bigger. And thumbs up will bias the brachioradialis, a muscle that goes more along the top of the forearm, but still flexes the elbow with some pretty good leverages. For the most part, we will perform most of the movements for the biceps in supination. Since brachialis and brachioradialis flex the elbow regardless, I don't believe biasing either muscle will make a huge difference, and knowing there are plenty of people who have pipes for arms that don't use an overhand grip when doing curls, it's safe to say, just like every other muscle we've gone over so far, progressive overload is key. We can generally curl the most weight with a palms up grip. This study found that there was a much higher maximum voluntary contraction of the biceps muscles in the supinated or palms up position and neutral forearms positions than in the pronated or overhand positions, meaning you can lift more weight this way. I couldn't find any studies comparing hypertrophy outcomes in all of the elbow flexor muscles depending on forearm or hand position, so this is the best we have at the moment. Obviously, being able to lift more weight is a major factor in hypertrophy, so I would recommend using a supinated or neutral hand position when curling. Biceps also don't get much hypertrophy during row movements, as shown by this study. It was even more important to load them heavy during curls and to perform more volume for direct bicep work, as unlike their tricep counterparts, they don't get trained as much doing compound movements as they do during isolation movements. Now this gets even more nuanced when we consider the fact that we can perform our bicep exercises in shortened, mid, and lengthened positions to even further bias the biceps. If you've seen my videos in the series so far, you're probably guessing I'm going to tell you to do a lengthened bicep exercise along with a heavier bicep exercise. Well, I want you to do both. Sort of. Let me explain. This study took 38 healthy women and had one group do inclined dumbbell curls at a 45-degree incline, and only did the exercise from 0 to 90 degrees of the range of motion, and the second group do preacher curls at a 50-degree incline and only did the exercise from 0 to 75 degrees of the range of motion. So basically lengthened partials. The researchers measured their bicep circumference at 50, 60, and 70% of the length from their shoulder to the elbow, both before and after the intervention. 9 weeks later, what they found was no difference in hypertrophy for the incline curl group, whereas the preacher curl group grew significantly at the 70% distance, or rather further down the bicep, and some slightly better hypertrophy at 50 and 60% down the arm. Wait, but doesn't this seem to contradict the whole lengthened exercises results in more muscle claim, and studies have been thrown around? Well, the researchers have a couple explanations for this, and I have a few questions or concerns myself. The researchers found that the thickness of the brachialis muscle at the 70% region was twice the size of the thickness at the 50% region. And since they saw the most growth at the 70% region, they speculated the growth was mainly from the brachialis instead of the biceps, since brachialis' length is only affected by the elbow and not affected by the shoulder or forearm and hand position. So maybe all the growth came from the brachialis and not the biceps themselves. Researchers also only measure the biceps with muscle thickness measurements, which only determine growth by one dimension, compared to an MRI, which can measure the growth at 3 dimensions. Since we know muscles grow in 3 dimensions, any potential other growth might have occurred, but the researchers didn't have the necessary tools to measure this. I personally don't think this would have made a huge difference, but it's something to consider. One other thing could be due to the strength curve differences between the incline and preacher curls. The incline curl steadily gets more difficult the more you curl, since you are resisting gravity at a more direct angle, at 90 degrees compared to 30 or 60 degrees. Contrast this with the preacher curl, where it gets easier the more you curl. With the preacher curl, it's hard to set the bottom, and once you hit to 60 or 90 degrees, it's much easier. That being said, you can obviously lift more weight with the preacher curl than with the incline curl, especially at longer muscle lengths. Also, as we've seen with one of the studies in the tricep video, different strength curves can affect hypertrophy as well, since the lengthened position during the overhead tricep extensions should have affected the long head of the triceps. The only tricep muscle that crosses the shoulder joint and is affected by fully flexing the shoulder. The medial and lateral heads also saw more growth than with the tricep pushdowns, aka the shortened position for the triceps. This may be the case with the biceps as well, and I would love to see more studies comparing the preacher curl with the incline curl, especially between arms instead of participants over a longer time, with more variables to measure, hypertrophy with MRI, force production, etc. All things considered, I believe the study was very well done and gives us a lot to think about. I've been doing more preacher curls lately and found them to be quite effective, especially as lengthened partials. One study compared the barbell preacher curl to the machine preacher curl and found no difference in hypertrophy between the two, favoring the barbell version in terms of strength gained, only slightly at longer muscle lengths. Obviously, I believe the preacher curl is a highly effective bicep exercise, given how long I've rambled on about it. Whether you're performing with an easy bar, machine, or dumbbell is up to you. I prefer the machine version since the setup is very minimal and it's easy to strip the weight down for drop sets, and it's also very easy to perform lengthened partials in. The machine preacher curl is also useful in terms of safety since the path is fixed, unlike the barbell and dumbbell versions. I do these in the 2 to 4 set range for 8 to 15 reps. I found lengthened partials are fairly easy to progress in, so that's why I chose a wider rep range. As long as you are controlling the lowering and get a full stretch in the biceps at the bottom, you'll see some great gains. Some people are pretty cautious with preacher curls that they've seen some nasty bicep tendon tears online. As long as you steadily progress in these and train them under control, I wouldn't be too concerned about this. What that means is starting with a lighter weight, increasing only by 5 to 10% for weight, reps, and sets at a time, and stopping 1 rep shy of failure. You'll have plenty of time to progress in weight, sets, and reps over time and do it injury-free. It also helps make sure the seat isn't too low, you have your elbows in the pad, making sure your elbows don't hyperextend beyond 0 degrees. Just like with the studies, I like to do preacher curls at a 50-degree incline for my upper arms. And I don't want to completely rule out a lengthened exercise from the biceps, but I don't believe we have enough research to show that preacher curls are the end-all be-all and lengthened bicep exercises are a waste of time. Taking into consideration the strength curves for the incline dumbbell curl, I would personally gravitate towards a Bayesian curl done on a cable machine. This places even tension throughout the range of motion instead of making it harder throughout the range of motion, still effectively lengthening the biceps fully while ensuring strength curves don't affect the movement. For these, I like to do 2 to 4 sets of 10 to 20 reps. Since you'll have to do these 1 arm at a time, you can superset these with some lengthened partial cable lateral raises, and by the time you're done with the lateral raises for each arm, the first arm you did with the Bayesian curls should have had plenty of rest so you can go back into them for the next set, minimizing on overall time between sets while maximizing rest time between muscles. This also gives us more volume for the mid-delts, and as mentioned earlier in my shoulder video, we can always use more mid-delt volume. You can also superset these in the same way with single arm lengthened cable reverse flies on a pull day. Now the most tried and true bicep exercise is the easy bar curl, and I couldn't make a bicep video without talking about these. The easy bar curl is much easier to load up compared to dumbbells, requires the same amount of warm-up sets, 1, maybe 2 max, and generates very high tension on the biceps. It's also much easier to progress than with dumbbells, since a 5-pound increase from a 70 to 75-pound barbell is a lot different than going from something like 30 pounds dumbbells to 35-pound dumbbells. You can also do these against the wall to prevent cheating too much, but I like to cheat just a little bit with easy bar curls. One trick I learned from Greg Duchette is to do cheat reps on your last set or 2. Let's say I'm doing 3x8 for easy bar curls. For the first set, I get 8 reps, and the second set, I only get 7. So I'll do a cheat rep, under control of course, to even it out to 8 reps. And for the third set, I only get 6 clean reps, so I'll do 2 more cheat reps to total out 8 reps. And the next time I do them, I'll make it 8 reps, then another 8 reps, and still 6 clean reps, plus 2 cheat reps, so I'll have gained a controlled rep on my second set from doing the cheat reps the week before. You can rinse, wash, and repeat for quite a while, and add 10 pounds once you can do 2 to 3 reps past your target reps on your first set. Just remember to take advantage of the cheat reps and not be lackluster with them. Really arc the bar out on the eccentric or lowering portion and lower for 2 to 3 seconds. I've also tried these using the Olympic barbell for curls, and I personally found I was able to curl more weight than with the easy bar. This makes sense because the weight is more dispersed, making it easier to curl. So if you plateau on easy bar curls, you can try Olympic bar curls, adding 5 to 10 pounds for a couple months, and progress from there. Now, am I telling you to curl in the squat rack? No, just do it outside the squat rack. You'll also find your barbell curl or preacher curl weights will alternate increasing, so write this out for a while and then play around with cheat reps, different barbells, easy bar or Olympic bar, drop sets, or alternate with rep ranges. Dumbbell hammer curls are also versatile as they require only dumbbells to do and can be supersetted with practically any other upper body exercise. I like to do these for 2 to 4 sets in the 10 to 25 rep range. Just like with any other muscle, the biceps need to be progressed with weight over time. I see the most growth in my biceps when increasing the weight for easy bar curls and adding in cheat reps, as well as focusing on preacher curls, especially in the lengthened position. Well, I hope this video helped. This has been one of the most time-consuming videos made in the series. I had to sift through a lot of research and actually change my stance on some things regarding bicep training. That's my cat. I would greatly appreciate it if you liked this video, if you found it helpful, and hit that subscribe button. This lets me know if you want to see more videos like this. If there are any other bicep related things you'd like me to do a video on, or if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.